Well, listeners, once again, we're here with another episode of Hermes Historia, and I'm still figuring out the best way of introducing these episodes, or whether I need to at all. Because here we are. Michaela, what's the topic today? This is Michaela.
Hi. So, okay, we'll get there. Let's see. Okay, so, hi. It's the end of spooky season now.
Damn straight it is.
Yep.
Even though we aired these back to back because to the listeners, I was unprepared.
Look, life was life.
And we're not charging yet. And
exactly.
So we're still figuring it out.
Right. So we're gonna dip our toes into a little bit of magic. And I couldn't just do magic. Because magic is so complex of a topic, right? Like I have an entire
necromancy?
That is, an entire book on magic in the ancient greco-roman world, and I had to pick one. There were many options. There were love charms and erotic curses, astrology, alchemy, healing protective magic, curses. What I eventually settled on was divination.
Oh, all right.
Yes. Eventually, we will get back to erotic curses. I feel like I just dropped that and didn't kind of go into it. And
you've reminded me. I'm pretty sure I have. I actually think I have a guest for that. But yeah, I think
I'll talk
so.
About it later.
Yeah. I think it should be in Asana.
Okay, amazing. Okay, but so today we're going to talk about divination. So, how do we, as people and as scholars, define magic and divination in antiquity?
That's a great question.
I literally had a 40-minute conversation with my roommate when I was writing this. I'm like, how do we do this? And she was like, I'm just trying to watch my K-pop show. Like,
and you're like, absolutely not. We need to talk about ancient divination. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and then we found her parents' stash of cassettes, which was fun. Had the Titanic. Great.
VHS? That was a 2
Not
tape.
VHS. The cassettes. So it was the Titanic soundtrack.
Oh, excuse me. I heard cassette, but then I was like, oh, what are we talking about? No, love that.
Oh my god,
yeah,
wow.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I settled on saying, and this is so academic-ese, I'm so sorry, but this is what you're getting. Magic is a set of practices and beliefs that individuals undertake or pay for in order to get certain desired results, and usually takes place outside of the normous religious practices a culture undertakes. I had to academic brain it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it wasn't working.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. I gotcha.
Divination, then, is a form of magic because it is undertaken in certain specific ways in order to obtain contact with gods to get information on certain events or things to be done that an individual wants to do.
Oh, so is the oracle falling under this?
Yes, she is.
Of course. Incredible.
Yes, she is. So it can take many forms, such as oracles. Clairomancy, so things like throwing knuckle bones or dice.
Yeah.
Augury,
yeah.
So looking at the behavior of birds. Also at natural events, such as storms, lightning, thunder, any sort of natural occurrence, snow, or even bodily signs, such as twitches or sneezes. Apparently, these can be messages from the gods.
My little gal Squid is getting a lot of messages from the gods. She's allergic to this apartment that I'm leaving.
Oh, no.
And the poor little gal, she sneezes all the time, and it's difficult because she has a little squished nose, which I also think is part of the problem.
Aww.
And it's the cutest thing ever. But also, she needs better air. Anyway.
She's being spoken to by
she is
someone. I don't know
She's
who.
like, it's fine that your Greek mythology obsessed mother called you Squid and not something beautiful.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It's fine.
So you can also get messages and divination from flames, water, extispicy. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Extispicy. I'm going to say extispicy. Okay.
And you're going to say it well.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
It is the reading of entrails.
Oh, love it. Love it.
Get divination from dreams. And finally, necromancy.
Heck yeah.
Divination is not always defined as magic, because we have to remember that magic is something that is done outside of sort of the regular religious norms. We are going to talk about divination that's inside the regular, but the magic, they're not, I don't want to say bad.
Yeah.
Just as we wouldn't, look at someone who reads tarot cards and put them on the stake right now and burn them. It's not unusual. It's fine. I have tarot cards. Like, I read it every day, and they like to say mean things to me. So it's fine. Which is really just me saying mean things to myself when you think about it. But it's okay. So it is okay. Divination is definitely okay when it's done within sort of normal religious activities. So, like the oracles, they're a-okay. They're fine.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. We're
Until,
just talking to the gods. It's fine.
Yes, until, Christianity takes over and tells them that it's not fine that you do this, but
the
it's
Christians
fine.
are fun.
But you know what? I think they love the oracles too, and
well,
I don't want to say anything about the Catholics, but go ahead.
Yeah, without Christianity, specifically the Catholics, we wouldn't have all the best spooky shit today because those people were scared of the dead.
Oh, I'm appreciative.
I'm not mad.
Yeah, and I also
as
like
we get
to
into
say
that.
They keep things like bones, and they're like, this is a relic of a past martyr, and I'm like, that's metal as fuck. I love that for you. Just kept someone's finger bone. Cool.
Relatable.
So at religious sites, we also do see evidence of other types of divination other than just oracular. So we do see claromancy taking place there as well. Like, you'll walk in, and I think they have found like plaques basically that'll tell you, like, if you throw the dice or throw the knuckle bones and these sides pop up, this is your oracle. There was also, oh my god, oracular advice through hexameter verse, particularly Homer. That was a big thing. They would roll some sort of like chance thing, and it would tell you which line to go to, and that was your oracle. Yes,
at the UBC put on a little event where I spoke, and they were doing that. That's so fun.
Yep. So they did that.
I'm obsessed with
Homer,
that.
and it makes me very happy.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, I don't want to like step on it if you're coming to this, but I really want to know if you looked into what it was they did with Zeus at Dodona, because I know it has to do with oak trees, but I don't know anything more.
I can tell you real fast.
Yes, please. Great.
It's literally, they had a priestess, or a priest, I can't remember. I want to say it was a priestess, similar to the Pythia. The Pythia would speak her oracular things from whatever it was that was happening at Delphi. At Dodona, she would listen to like the way the oak tree, the leaves rustled, or if like birds flew by, or if something happened, and then she would interpret her signs from that. So it's literally like it was the way the tree rustled, and that's what was Zeus speaking.
I'm obsessed. I just knew it was oak trees, so I'm very glad I asked.
Yeah. So the Pythia giving her oracles at Delphi is a sort of magic. It's state-sanctioned magic, though. Yeah. So it's okay. We don't need to feel dubious. We don't need to be
because Apollo's behind it.
Yeah, it's okay. We can
it's
trust
not just
Apollo.
like a lady saying that stuff. Yeah.
We can trust Apollo. He's never done anything bad, ever.
Not at all.
Nope. So there is a wide range of ways that divination appeared, and it wasn't necessarily something that was viewed as outside of the norm. Oracles were highly normal. Most city-states and also other cultures in the ancient Mediterranean, like Delphi, was extremely famous. They would come there to get oracles done. At the end of the day, it was a way to make contact with the gods and have them speak to you. Ideally, you want to have a conversation with the gods. That's difficult, but we will get there. It is, in a way, possible, I guess. Bunny quotes.
I just have a guess now about what you're going to get to, I realize. I'm excited.
Well, I don't know if you do, because I was even like, what? When I read it, I've never heard of it, but I love it. So getting contact with the gods would have been very important for the people at the time, and it was employed to answer any sort of queries from large to banal. So city-states, whenever they wanted to set out a new colony, they would always go to Delphi first and ask the Pythia if they thought it was a good idea, and if it was favorable. They would ask for what to do during wartime. And then you would even just get regular people who would want advice on business dealings, marriages, on, if they're not having kids, what they can do. Will they have children? Illness, dreams, dreams were a huge way to make contact with the gods for healing, right? There's the sanctuary to Asclepius at Epidavros, which I can only say in the modern Greek way.
I feel like it's like the one word now where, yeah, same.
Yeah.
And if someone says Epidaurus, I don't know what to do with
like
that.
I know that, but I like Epidavros, so I'm keeping it.
Fine.
Yeah, so the sanctuary to Asclepius at Epidavros, people would go and they would sleep in this room. It was called the Abaton. And they believed that when they slept in there, they were able to make contact with the god. The god would appear to them in their dreams and tell them what they can do. They would wake up the next day and they would tell the priests there what happened or what they saw in their dream, and the priest would get the cure from that and administer to them. And that's, that is a form of divination. It's dream divination. So it was very normal. It was really, really normal. And I think,
quote unquote medicine was basically just state sanctioned magic.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wish you luck with also ancient medicine.
Well, it's like I remember a past episode with Christy Vogler.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, and we talked about, like official doctors in ancient Rome versus these like witches, and like the men would be doing like the same thing basically, but they were doctors and the women were like witches. Yep. And so it screams of that.
Very much so. That's
abortion is healthcare. I don't know why that had to come out, but it did.
Oh yeah, because you know what? It is wild,
weird.
So what about other ways, other than sort of the state-sanctioned oracular ways, can we participate in divination? Was this something that anyone could do? Was it common knowledge, or was it restricted to only a certain group of people?
I mean, I did talk to a lady who fed some guys some wine and then they turned into pigs.
It happened once.
Yeah. So
I wasn't there.
No, but I heard about it.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So it actually, interestingly, seems that a lot of different ways of divination and interpreting signs was pretty common knowledge, especially when it comes to things such as, here we go again, Extispicy.
How is it spelled? Because now you got me just interested.
Extispicy. I want it to be Extispicy, but I don't think it is Extispicy.
No, but I also want it.
Extispicy, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be soft C's, but interesting.
No. So it was well, I think it's a modern word. A way of it's sort of modern way of understanding it. It was the reading of the entrails of a sacrificed animal. This could, of course, take place at any sort of sacrificial event and was most likely done probably by some divination expert. However, it was also regularly done by soldiers during wartime, because you would, before going into any sort of battle or taking any sort of doing any sort of military thing, you would sacrifice. And then you could then read whatever signs are coming from, usually the liver, but I guess any of the entrails, and you would decide if this was a favorable thing. There was an event that Xenophon, who is an Athenian historian and military leader, where he tells that because of the signs from all these sacrificed animals that he would continuously do, he would not lead his troops out on a further mission because the signs were bad. And he was like, no, we can't do it.
Were the signs we have no food?
I don't know, but it's just that you guys would not succeed. It was not good to go out on this mission. Apparently his soldiers got really frustrated with him and were pressuring him to be like, let's go do it. Come on. And he was like, okay, you guys come in. You come read the signs and then tell me if it's a good idea or not. And that at least that hits something where it tells us that any of these soldiers can come in and look and say whether or not the signs are good or not. So it seems pretty common, like that people would know what to look for.
That's so interesting. Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, right? Like the average soldier would know what a bad liver looks like, apparently.
I mean,
fair. So it appears as if, at least for what I've called the lesser divinatory arts, that there was something about them. Well, I mean, we're not going to say shit about the Pythia. That'll make me cry.
True. True.
She can be the higher divinatory arts. So there's something about divinatory practices that was pretty common knowledge, or at least easily accessible to learn through either instruction or practice. But of course, we do have individuals who were diviners by trade. So something that I found really, yeah. So something
Tiresias.
So something I found really interesting about this, at that there is a familial tie, meaning that often like professional diviners would try to then tie their lineage to a famous diviner from myth, such as Tiresias, Iamus, Melampus, Clytus, and they'd be called like the Amids, the Melampids. They weren't necessarily actually, I mean, come on, like probably not actually related to these like myth figures.
Yeah.
But also often, sometimes
I don't think Julius Caesar was related to Venus either. Sorry.
Maybe not. But like they didn't even necessarily have to be related to each other. It was almost like a school sometimes, in a way.
Interesting. Yeah.
Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
So they were called mantis in Greek. And they would go about the Greek world touting their fairs to the people of antiquity who aimed to learn something from the gods. These people, they weren't necessarily understood as being natural diviners. So it wasn't understood necessarily as something inherited or genetic, which I think is interesting when you think of it like a family type, but then it was, you could be taught. In one of my sources that I was reading kind of described it as a way like as like a parent teaching their child how to exist. So there's like that aspect,
like mentorship maybe.
Exactly. So an older mantis essentially would be passing on their trade to the younger ones that were sort of part of the same family, so to speak. And it was in a lot of ways a legitimate profession that one could undertake. Mantis could practice their trade just about anywhere. Often they would be found among soldiers and on the battlefield, where they could divine for a battle if it would go well or not. There was a mantis by the name of Tisaminus, who was part of the Iamid family, who won 5 battles for the Spartans. Yeah, just pretty
he got credit for like actually winning.
Yes, like it was because of his advice that because it would have been seen as him reading the signs, but the signs are the god speaking to him, sending him the signs that he would then pick up and say, okay, X god says this is gonna go well, so do it. Versus, you know, if the signs didn't look good, he say, oh, the gods say it's not going to be good, we're not doing it. And if they listen and, you know, it does well, ta-da, he's done it. It helps. Interestingly, his grandson was also a mantis, and he helped the Spartans at Aegisopotami, which was the last major battle of the Peloponnesian War, where Sparta kicked the absolute shit out of Athens. So,
maybe
diviner family doing well. So maybe they're onto something. Who knows? They could be called on to help divine cures for sick individuals, and could be called on to help everyday individuals in really whatever things they so desired to learn. So then we get to something I find delightfully fun. So, we actually have a corpus of texts called the Papyri Graeci-Magicae that give us a more detailed description of what mantis do, specifically in later antiquity. So about, like, it's in the Roman period, so 1st century BCE to about the 3rd century BCE.
Still pretty early.
Yes.
Well, late antiquity. Well, yeah, late for us.
It's late for me.
Yeah. No, me too.
But it comes from Greco-Roman Egypt. And they give us detailed information on spells and how magic was performed and what was expected. Like, it gives you, it's basically a recipe book for ancient magic.
Could you go ahead and send me a link to that?
I'll find it. Yeah, I'll send it to you. We can do
that's for
some
novel purposes too, but also
yeah, that's.
But I'm so down
curses.
for the curses. Erotic curses.
I can't believe I saw that and went, we'll do divination instead.
But it's okay. No, I want it for Valentine's. Don't worry.
Okay. So, interestingly, these papyri give us a lot of information on how children were used in conjunction with divination.
Good or bad?
It's fine.
Okay. They weren't really like a human sacrifice culture by and large. So.
No trigger warning. Just, children could apparently be excellent diviners, but not on their own.
Well, no, that's like how the Pythia had to have all those men interpreting her.
I mean, I have always needed men around me to interpret me. Otherwise, I make zero sense whatsoever.
That's exactly right. To men.
Yeah, really. Oh my god. Anyways. So, at this time period, so during the Roman period, the role of the mantis is much different. It is, in earlier periods, it is a lot more public. It is, and this isn't really about it's just the world has changed in 400 or 500 years, I guess. But especially in the classical and archaic periods in Greece, it was just really common. It was fine. People, if you needed advice, you'd go get advice from an oracle, or you would go get advice from the nearest mantis or something. It was normal. But the profession just changed in 400 years. It became a lot more private in ways, and not happening so much in the public sphere, and it needed to be mobile as well, which is why I think these papyri are really interesting, because it is sort of showing what magic became, and also that they aren't necessarily having these sort of groups of people together learning about or passing on their magical knowledge. Now it's okay, we'll write this down, and it makes it accessible for other people. They can get their hands on it in some way. And so children were considered more pure.
Okay.
Purity in Greek religion is important. In order to do certain practices, it's really important for the individual to be pure. And I think when you see a child, you default to it's pure.
Well, and it just makes me think of Parthenos as a word, where we now have turned it into this Christian idea of virgin, but it wasn't about that so much. I mean, obviously, for women, it was different, but or girls rather, but it's just more about that sort of purity in terms of life more than anything else, right? They haven't lived yet.
And I mean, sex was a part of it. It was considered impure to have sex, but it, well, I'm using impure, and it just has in our modern sense, we have a very Christian idea
exactly,
to it, and
not
it's not that at all.
No.
A mantis could become pure by literally just not having sex for 3 days, and then it was
right.
oh, they're fine, they can do the thing.
Yeah.
It's more about the pollution. It's just, this is not what you do. You wouldn't go fuck in a temple. So they're don't bring that energy to the temple, please. Okay.
You're Atalanta, and
did it cause problems?
Was the other guy? They got turned into lions. It wasn't great.
Exactly. So maybe we leave that to not in the temple complex.
Great.
But it's fine.
If you insist.
I mean, who am I to judge? I don't kink shame.
No.
Unless the kink is shame, in which case you're disgusting. So, so purity was important, blah, blah, blah. Children are pure because they probably, you know what? They're just not doing unpure things. It's not.
That's the thing. That's why I didn't want to. It's not about. Yep. It's not about sex. It's about just generally the purity of youth.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So if somebody wanted to divine something, they would basically call on a mantis and be like, "We want to know these things," and they're like, "Okay." They go and they get a child. Yes, they would find a child.
Just the nearest kid.
I think they would essentially have a kid, and the kid would outgrow them. But it also you have a kid, you're teaching it a craft, because it's watching you do all these practices. So then when it gets too old to be your child divider
then
anymore,
it finds a kid and keep going.
Yeah, exactly. You get a new kid, you send that one out to go on their own ways. Anyways, so you get a child, you blindfold them.
Perfect. Not weird at all.
Yes. And then you speak a little incantation spell over the child where you are calling the god or the spirit into the child.
And do we know which god they were working with? Is it often Apollo?
Could be any. Could be any.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
You can call on any of the gods. Yep. It gets better. So then they would unblindfold the child and get the child to do something called gazing, which is where they get them to either like to stare into a lamp's flame or into some sort of bowl of liquid.
Sure.
You just stare into it.
All right.
Where the god was then believed to appear and speak to the child, which is really exciting. Okay, this is good. Because in this instance, in all other cases of divination, whether you're doing clairomancy, augury, Romans were big on augury, oracles, the dreams, you are not actually having a conversation with the god. The god is sending you a message. But in this instance, now the child is face to face with the god and can have sort of a reciprocal conversation.
Oh, so there's like a little bit more of a actual back and forth.
Yes, so it's a with situation. You can ask questions in the moment. Like it's like a Ouija board. It's like an ancient Ouija board.
It's like the kid from The Exorcist.
Yes.
Only slightly less gross.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Ideally, less puke.
Yeah.
I'm just saying ideally.
Ideally. The practitioner would then go on to ask the child questions to ask the god. So they would be like, can you ask whatever god you're speaking to, like, would this day be a good day for X person's wedding? And then the child would look into the bowl of water or the flame and be like, is this day a good day for the wedding? And then apparently the god would say something back to them.
Huh.
But interestingly, also, a lot of these questions seem to be pretty, like, leading questions, like they would lie in a courtroom kind of questions. But it was interesting when I was
unsurprising to me.
Yeah, so I was reading an article specifically on the use of children in divination because I was like, I'm sorry, what is this? And
Yeah.
like had to read it. I don't know if this was necessarily on purpose. Like I don't.
Yeah.
You kind of got to look at religious practices through a different lens, like you not through like, okay, look, if a magician was doing this on stage in like Las Vegas, I would be skeptical. I'm like, he got a child for a purpose.
Yeah.
But like in a religious context, I don't think there is that sort of idea of let's get this because it would be easier to manipulate. I think it's just
I agree.
It happens. Is it definitely children were easier? Or were used in the sense the tradition became children because they could be more easily manipulated.
Yeah, because it worked. And so if they're like asking these questions and they're getting the right answers, then it's going to perpetuate this idea that it works.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and there was something
like a Ouija
about
board, but like the pushing, right?
Yeah.
Like where then not that I don't also believe in Ouija boards, but like
I won't touch one.
No, fair. I had one weird experience and I haven't gone back, but I do love the concept.
They can stay outside of my home is what I'll say. That is not welcome in my home. I do not have enough sage. No. And I can burn sage. I smudge. This is what I do.
We have such similar minds where my brain was like, oh man, are we going to get... I was like, no.
Look.
I needed you to say it. Yeah.
I got the card. The government recognizes me. Let me burn my tobacco in peace. Oh man, but interestingly, there was one thing I was reading where it was saying like apparently they also chose children because children had less life experience, thus they were less imaginative than adults, so they were less likely to
the
make
opposite.
Up.
You guys, let me tell you about just the way this works. You have it completely turned around.
Isn't that amazing? They're just like,
Truly.
A child wouldn't make something up. They don't have the capacity to lie.
Children have no imaginations.
Children are liars, though. Little liars.
Because they don't know that it's a lie. Because they haven't learned that concept. Like, no, you're just like letting your brain make up things. Like, it's not a lie until it's like a lie.
Oh my God.
No, it's amazing. Gosh, they were honestly the most brilliant, weren't they? Just like innovators.
I just love so much. They were like, this is genius. The child wouldn't make up something that the gods say, and the child's just there like,
could Never.
Man, you took me from the street and blindfolded me. I'll
Yeah,
say
you
whatever
asked me
you
a
want.
question. Exactly. I'm gonna give you what you want to hear.
It's so good. And also this divination was much more versatile because you could change the type of liquid to call on more specific gods.
Incredible.
So you would use rainwater, so for any sort of heavenly gods of the heavens.
Heck yeah.
You would use, this is where I love their thinking,
Obsessed, can't
seawater
wait.
for earth gods.
Well, that's because but that's Poseidon connecting with the earth shaking and the sea.
But I don't think it would be. Maybe, I guess.
No, I know.
But it just
I
makes
know. I'm
no
sorry,
sense.
but
I know. Okay.
But here we are.
River water for Serapis or Osiris, and then spring water for the dead. We are in Egypt, so
right. Yeah,
they love to share gods. They really did.
Yeah,
I love it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Well, in that time period too, like it was just like Greek, Roman, Egyptian gods, like all smushed all together in like an amazingly weird place.
And when you're polytheistic, you are more able to find your gods in other places, or you're more likely to accept the idea of a new god.
1000%. Yep.
It's not, there's only one god. It's like, there's a new fun god. Okay. Why not?
Yeah.
Like, it's fine.
It's not a competition.
It's not even close. Not even near. They did not care.
To the modern world.
I know. They, just gonna say, I know. There was they don't like my gods.
No.
Yeah, I don't even like the word gods, honestly. It makes me uncomfortable. It's not quite right. But anyways, using children, making them stare into bowls of water to speak to gods.
And absolutely not make anything up at all. No.
No, of course not.
Absolutely not.
So, yes, those are several different types of divination, but of course I can't, I would be disappointed in myself if I didn't finish this off.
Give me the goth shit.
The best one, which is, of course, necromancy. We love necromancy in this household. It is not necromancy in the sense of, raising the dead, but it is speaking with the dead.
Like Odysseus in Book 10
You know what's
of the
so
Odyssey, because
interesting?
it's not technically a catabasis. He's
he's
like,
not a catabasis.
No.
Slightly. He doesn't even go in. He just walks around outside.
He chats with them.
Yeah. But I did see someone make an argument that what Odysseus was doing was not necromancy, and I don't remember the argument, but I was like,
it makes sense because it's like, it's there. No, that's interesting though. Yeah.
But I would like to leave space open for necromancy, whenever there's an opportunity. So necromancy in the divinatory sense is talking to the dead. You could seek out the death themselves. So you could seek the dead out. They could come to you in dreams. There were death oracles. There were oracles you could go to.
What I wanted you to be talking about.
To speak to the dead. And I love that. But what love is that when you are seeking out information from a deceased person, they would not have any information that they wouldn't have known in life. So they are not omniscient in any way. They don't have information that the gods would have. They only have information that they would have known when they were living, which is where Herodotus comes in.
Oh, goody.
We have an example of a story of necromancy in Herodotus. In Book 5, it is chapter, look at me not writing this down. I want to say 92. It looks like chapter 92. Book 5, 92. And I shall read it. It is about the tyrant Periander of Corinth. And normally when we say tyrant, in antiquity, I know you have your feelings about tyrants, and I don't disagree, but some of them were okay. Some of them were
No, I don't have a problem with tyrants. I just clarify that they're a type of king that seized power versus being born into it.
Yes, they gained power. Not necessarily also seized, interestingly. Sometimes it was through support of the people.
Right. Or marrying somebody too, right?
Yes.
That's why Oedipus was? Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
We have
I'm not anti-tyrant.
Anti-tyrant now. Let's
exactly.
see let's see how they're acting in antiquity tyrant.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah, 50-50.
Yeah. So we have the tyrant of Corinth, named Periander, and his wife, Melissa. who, just to give just a touch more context, he had killed justice for Melissa, but it gets so good. She gets him back. And then it gets worse. Anyways, here we go.
I'm excited.
You see, Periander had sent emissaries to the Oracle of the Dead on the river Acheron in Thesprotia to ask about the location of a friend's funds. The ghost of Melissa appeared and said that she wouldn't indicate or reveal where the money was because she was cold and naked. The clothes Periander had buried her in were no use, the ghost explained, unless they were burnt. As proof of the fact that she really was who she said she was, she said that Periander had put his loaves into a cold oven. Now, this coded information convinced Periander because he had had sex with Melissa's corpse. Wow. So as soon as the message had been delivered, he issued a proclamation that every woman in Corinth was to leave her home and go to the temple of Hera. The women all put on their finest clothes because they assumed they were going to a festival, but Periander had secretly posted members of his personal guard there, and he forced them to strip, regardless of their station, free women and servants alike. Then he had all their clothing collected and taken to a pit, where he burnt it all up while invoking Melissa. Afterwards, he sent another emissary to the oracle, and this time, Melissa's ghost told him where she had put his friend's money.
That is a man writing a woman if I have ever heard it. Wow. No, that's something else.
I just love so much that she was like, okay, I'll tell him.
Yeah.
But first, I'm cold. And also,
but
she
the
did not tell him. She did not
exactly.
tell him.
That's the man writing the woman. She did not tell you to take everyone else's clothes.
No!
That's not the solution.
Especially, okay, it's not good to take a servant's
clothes.
But it's, you know how bad it is to take a free woman to leave her naked in public? Like, that is bad. I mean, I think if it was just slaves, they would have been like, whatever, it's fine, because this is antiquity and this is just the view of it. But that he did it to free women too is where you're like, holy shit, this man's a monster. I will say,
this one is a tyrant,
Melissa,
you're saying.
yes, he was very much so a problem. I will say, Melissa did not tell him to do that. She just wanted some clothes. He could have just burnt any of her old stuff. But I love so much that she was like, you know how you convince him that it's me? You want to know? You tell him that he put his loaves in a cold oven. And they get back to him and they're like, she said this. And he's like, oh God, okay. It's her.
And the idea that he admits, like, nah, it's her because I fucked her corpse. Jesus.
Like, he's like, first I'm gonna kill my wife, and then after she's dead,
oh my God,
I'm gonna like, what? Periander was a problem.
No kidding. Yeah.
But death oracles.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
Well, and I remember them from a past Halloween episode I did with Ellie Mack and Roberts. Queen of my heart, and she told me about one in I believe it's like closer to the Mani Peninsula, unless I'm overthinking, but like basically in the southwestern Peloponnese, I think.
Like it was like
in the, like,
one of the spots to the underworld. Was it?
Well, that's the Mani Peninsula, but that's like the furthest. That's Tyneron at the very furthest tip. Yeah. One of these days I'm gonna get there.
Well, not this year, not next year, not 2025, maybe 2026. We'll rent a car together and I'll drive you around the Peloponnese.
Chelsea's gotta be there. That's right, listeners. I have an inn at the fucking gates to the underworld at Tyneron.
We will send her a message.
In any case, but it's somewhere, and she talked about how you like go into this cave and there's like all these practices. I'm gonna find a clip and maybe I've already played it by the time this episode comes out. But yeah, like, so there's just, it's fascinating. There's also a death oracle at it's funny. I actually remember Nana, our wonderful guide at the group trip. Oh my God.
Back?
I've not had confirmation, but I'm assuming because I asked. Yeah, I feel like it's just that they can't confirm right away, but I will ask. Yeah, and she told me she wanted to. Oh, feel free. Oh, I love her so much.
I think I'm gonna knit her a pair of socks.
Oh my God, I think she would love that. She mentioned as we were going to Delphi, and driving through Boeotia there, at the base of, I don't know if it's Parnassus or just close, but it's Trophonios. That's it. It's the Oracle of Trophonios, which is another death oracle. I don't know the details of that one, but I know there was like a bunch of different forms they could take too, of like how you get the answers from the dead.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's wild. It makes me so happy. I mean, we even have like this idea of necromancy even in Homer, where Patroclus comes to Achilles and he's like, "Hey, could we be buried together, please?" Like, it goes all the way back. And then, I say this as if we weren't just talking about freaking Odysseus walking around. Although I want that to be necromancy.
I think it does, though. Like, he talks to the dead, and he has to do all of these. Like, he has to perform rituals in order to make that happen.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of blood.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood. There's libations. There's grain. Did he have grain with him? I don't remember.
Maybe. It's like a whole thing.
I just love that Ajax wouldn't speak to him. Every time he's like, "Look, bud, I'm sorry that you're dead, and it's technically my fault." And Ajax is just,
it's like fully my fault. Like, that was
so that's divination,
and I'm obsessed with it, particularly the necromancy.
Love the necromancy.
We're goth girls.
Yes, love the knuckle bones. I like just the idea of throwing bones,
animal bones broadly.
The Extispicy.
Okay, I googled that actually. Because I was
How do you say it?
I'm not confident. I'm not confident enough to say it. I'm giving you the Greek because that's Latin, and I'm going to give you the Greek, which it makes so much more sense. It's hepatomancy.
Hepatomancy.
And it was specifically about the liver in that case.
Yes, because I bet we use the Latin because that's just the way we say it now. Extispicy.
You're right, though. It looks like extra spicy. It's really bad.
It's apparently Extispicy.
Yeah.
So I was kind of getting it, anyways.
Yeah, but then that led, thankfully, to a thing that explained it as a hepatomancy, which I'm like, oh, well, that's a Greek word. So thank you.
Love it.
But it's not hepa like 100. It's got to be like something about liver. I don't know what liver was in ancient Greek. Remember when we were supposed to wrap this up and not end up Googling?
Hepa
there we go.
Liver, because it's hepatic is pertaining to the liver.
Thank you. Maybe we keep that in. You can see how our brains work and why we work well together, guys.
Anyways, ta-da!
I'm really, this is very fun to be throwing these together with less pressure. So I hope you all enjoying these. We're going to be, everything needs to, it takes its time to get its stride. So I'm glad we're providing these free for a little while we figure it all out. And stay tuned for more information on everything. Oh, and if you haven't already signed up for the new newsletter, do it. Because we're going to have a newsletter. Michaela's going to have her own pieces. It's going to be very fun. mythsbaby.com/newsletter.
Yes. It's fun. Exciting. Sign up for lamps.
Oh, yeah. We're going to do... Oh, this is the first thing Michaela suggested as hers is the lamp of the... What is the... Did we come up... Lamp of the month. Yeah.
It was a word from Michaela, a word from the editor, and it's just going to be a lamp.
It's going to be a lamp.
You know what? Everyone from the group trip last year, they will get it.
That's right.
Because apparently this is always what I get known for, but I'm
Girl loves lamps.
Look, you gotta love a lamp. Anyways, join us, I don't know, next month for more fun history. Someone shoot me.
I'm Liv and I love this shit.
I'm Michaela and I'm here too.
Literally perfect.